Well, friends, today we shall talk about the fatty changes as we described priorly in regard to the other such type of change. These pathological description has got so much confusion and contradiction. In spite of various terms used to describe this condition, the fatty degeneration and fatty infiltration were common in use during the older days, now abandoned, because such changes neither necessarily involve the degeneration nor infiltration. Thus, it is called fatty changes or fat metamorphosis or steatosis also. On the whole, though it is called fatty change, but still certain descriptions includes the degeneration and infiltration. Presence of histologically demonstrable fat in the cell, which is not normally found, is described as the fatty change. The presence of demonstrable fat don't mean that the fat content of the cell has increased. Now, we give some more emphasis upon the individual, the term fatty degeneration. This indicates presence of demonstrable fat in cells which are already sick. As per the general conception of to define such type of degenerative changes. What are the causes which can produce such type of change? If we observe, you would find that the first and foremost is the interference with oxygen and nutrition supply. For example, in occluded blood supply, anemia, hypoxia. These are the conditions which can produce such deposition of fat inside the cell as a result. And the next important is the poison. The poison may be exogenous or may be endogenous. The exogenous poison like chloroform, carbon tetrachloride, phosphorus, bacterial toxins, these are responsible for production of such type of changes. And how far the endogenous is concerned, the most prominent toxin produced as eclampsia. You will find this disease condition when you go through the study of gynecology and obstetrics, and at that time you will find that eclampsia is one of the gravest disease of a pregnant lady. which is also known as the death certificate, because about 98% of the female dies as a result of this eclampsia, which tends to occur most frequently during first pregnancy. This condition is dealt under the toxemia of pregnancy, means certain toxic conditions which enhances in the blood inspired by the process of pregnancy. And this eclampsia is one of them. Its further detail we shall discuss in the corresponding subject. Now certain endogenous this eclampsia, except this, the living irritant like bacteria, viruses, etc., and ultimately the interference with the nerve supply, as in Wallerian degeneration. This requires the individual description. Now, if we conclude by including the description of fatty infiltration, likewise as it has been framed priorly, that presence of demonstrable fat in a healthy cell constitute the fatty infiltration. Such type of condition is most prominently exemplified by the obesity, the most important factor for fatty infiltration. Endocrine diseases such as diabetes and the diabetic muscular dystrophy may take place. The extraneous fat accumulated inside the priorly healthy cell following the cause, as stated above, causes the impairment in the metabolic process. In the initial phase, these two processes could be discriminated, but later on it becomes difficult to differentiate. Hence, further, a new term, that is fat metamorphosis, is more appropriate, for which I stated earlier when starting this chapter, or simply fatty change is used to denote the said condition collectively. Now I would like to throw some light upon the mechanism of the fatty change. Following several controversies, ultimately it is said that a cell is subjected to an irritant. The initial visible fat droplet may be derived from the element content of the cell itself. In addition, the cell becomes more permeable following the effect of the irritant, and also the enzyme, especially oxidative one, which becomes deprived. The fresh fat which now enters the cell from the tissue fluid cannot be metabolized properly and thus accumulates inside the cell, This fat is the infiltrating fat which will collect in the fatty phase of the cell. Now, due to accumulation, the fat droplet will increase in size and Brownian movement inside the cytoplasm will cause jostling of the fat droplet. Brownian movement, I think you must remember, you have gone through this part in very initial period when you were started the study of the cell. The movement inside the content, cytoplasmic content, is a representation of the life inside the cell, and you may say, better to say, the energetic condition, and all the substances, all the particles remains in a state of slight motion, just like you may see if you put any pot on the burner keeping water inside it, when the water started heating, initially you will find something revolving inside the cell, the water. It represents that when the heat is accumulated inside, such happens. Likewise, due to certain livelihood of the cytoplasm, the movement takes place within the cytoplasmic content, which is known as Brownian movement, and due to this movement, small droplets of the fat jostles and forms a bigger fat droplet. When the fat droplet becomes larger in size, it pushes the nucleus at one side and forms the space for it. And in this way, the fat droplet becomes apparent inside the cell. In this sequence, I would like to draw your attention towards the liver for its clinical importance and frequency of its requirement in clinical practices. Though some other non-fatty tissue like heart, skeletal muscle, kidney, etc. may also show such change, but the liver is the commonest site for accumulation of the fat because it plays a central role in fat metabolism. Depending upon the cause and amount of accumulation, fatty change may be mild and reversible, or it may be severe, producing irreversible cell injury and the cell death. Fatty change in the liver may result either from the condition with excess fat, that is hyperlipidemia, where the excess of fat cannot be metabolized in spite of proper functioning of the liver. While in other cases, it may occur in a case where liver cell is damaged and the damaged liver cell fails to metabolize the requisite amount of fat. Conditions with excess fat are commonly obesity, diabetes mellitus, congenital hyperlipidemia, etc. On the other side, liver cell damage is subjected to some conditions like, first and foremost and the most frequent is the alcoholic liver disease. You will find in your further study that the alcohol is the worst substance consumed throughout the world for liver. Next is starvation. Chronic diseases like tuberculosis, acute fatty liver in the late pregnancy, hypoxia during the anemia or cardiac failure, effect of certain hepatotoxins like carbon tetrachloride, chloroform, ether, etc., or certain other poisons. Certain drugs induce liver cell injury like the steroids, anesthetics, tetracycline, etc. Normally the lipid as free fatty acid enters the liver cell either from diet as chylomicrons containing triglycerides and phospholipids or from adipose tissue as free fatty acid. But except these, a small part of fatty acid is also synthesized from the acetates Yes, it is also synthesized from the acetates in the liver cell. Most of the free fatty acid is esterified to triglycerides by the action of alpha glucophosphate, and only a small part is changed into the cholesterol, phospholipids and ketone bodies. While cholesterol, phospholipid and ketones are used in the body, intracellular triglycerides are converted into lipoprotein and are released from the liver cell into the circulation as plasma lipoprotein, which is commonly known as LDL or VLDL. This is the normal function of the liver or normal process of metabolism through which the alcohol or other substances on the whole has to pass. As we know regarding the liver that in physiology you have certainly gone through the information that the liver is a well equipped biochemical laboratory inside the body, and almost all substances which enters inside the body has to pass through the liver, either for the purpose to metabolize or for the purpose to detoxicate or for the purpose to storage and likewise. So till now we have described the normal function of the liver. But what happens in case of fatty liver? Intracellular accumulation of triglycerides can occur due to defect at one or more of the following 6 steps. Actually, these are the steps concerned with the metabolism, and if any disturbance in these steps occurs, it will cause the accumulation of the fat. Those are an increased entry of fatty acid into the liver. Number one. Naturally, if entry is increased, the total amount cannot be metabolized and excess of the fat must remain as a bystander. Second, increased synthesis of fatty acids by the liver. And this is the other factor, as I told just before, that acetates are also responsible for synthesis of these fat inside the liver, and if this increased synthesis of fatty acid by the liver is certainly of not more prominence, but to some extent it adds also. The next one is the decreased conversion of fatty acid into the ketone body, resulting in increased esterification of the fatty acid to triglyceride. If the fatty acid is not converted into ketone bodies as per requirement, the esterification of the fatty acid enhances to triglycerides. The next one factor is increased alpha glycerophosphate, causing increased esterification of the fatty acid to triglyceride. The next one is decreased synthesis of lipid acceptor proteins, resulting in decreased formation of the lipoprotein from the triglycerides. And the last is the block in the excretion of lipoprotein from the liver into the plasma. These are the factors which are responsible for excessive accumulation inside the liver. And when fat accumulates excessively, the condition is termed as the fatty liver. If we observe the liver grossly, it appears like an enlarged, dense and glistening capsule having rounded margins. The cut surface bulges slightly, pale yellow in appearance and greasy to touch. Microscopically, numerous lipid vacuoles appears in the cytoplasm of the hepatocytes. For the purpose to clear up the conception to some more extent, here we can observe a few illustrations. To understand the pathogenesis of the fatty liver, firstly we have to observe the normal fat metabolism inside the liver with the help of this diagram. Here you are observing that free fatty acids are coming from two main sources, one the diet and other from the adipose tissue. From these two sources, the free fatty acid enters inside the liver. Again, inside the liver too, a certain amount of fatty acid is synthesized with the help of acetates, and in this way the total fatty acid accumulates inside the liver. Now, some part of the fatty acid is converted into cholesterol ester, phospholipids and ketone body, while the most is converted into the triglyceride inside the cellular space with the help of alpha glycerophosphate. When inside the body, the cholesterol or phospholipid or ketones bodies are in function, at that time these fatty acid converted into the triglycerides and ultimately passes forward, and with the help of lipid acceptor protein it is converted into lipoprotein, and in this form it comes out of the liver. This lipoprotein is commonly also known as LDL or VLDL. Now, this is the normal process when the lipoproteins are passed out of the liver. Now, if any disturbance occurs in the mechanism of the fat metabolism, for that purpose I have described the 6 steps priorly. Any disturbance in any step causes accumulation of excessive fat inside the liver, and that is the pathogenesis of the fatty liver. Now, after result, the fatty liver, you can observe here, this one is a sliced section of the fatty liver, and here you will observe that the liver is enlarged, represented by the swollen borders. Borders are swollen and rounded, and inside the cut surface appears whitish yellow or yellow. When we observe it on its microscopic level, you will find that here two slides are visualized, and you will find the fatty liver where the central veins, fat cyst or microvesicles and macrovesicles, this portal triad, these all are visualized here. And again here in this slide you will find the large vacuoles pushing the nucleus to the periphery, to the one side, and thus causes it eccentric. And these are the microscopic observations depending upon which we can confirm our conception of the fatty liver.